So hey guys, it's Dana with Pitchless Podcast, and I'm here right now with Adam Hambrick. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Awesome, doing great.
Good.
So it's the last day of CMA Fest.
Yes.
How has your weekend been so far?
The weekend's been good. It's pretty crazy because, like everybody and their dad is in Nashville for one.
Yes,
so
they are.
For one, you got traffic.
Oh, yeah.
But also it's great because, a lot of us were on the road constantly. So so we don't get to see a lot of our other friends who are doing this same life.
For sure.
And so it's really cool because all the other artists and everything are in Nashville, so we get to see each other, and it's a blast. And CMA Fest really is like my favorite week of Nashville, believe it or not.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we were talking earlier that you're playing later today. Is this your first CMA Fest playing, or?
No, I've played CMA Fest for the last 6 years, like since I moved to town.
Awesome.
It's always like songwriter rounds or like smaller stuff. This is the first time that I've had like, oh, there's an autograph booth and Adam Hambrick is going to be there, and then
That's gotta feel good.
it feels cool because a lot of people have come up who've seen me, when I've been out on the road this last year, and so that's pretty cool seeing that thing start to grow and making fans and connecting the music with people and all that.
Yes, definitely. So, I mean, you've been doing music for a long time, but
Yeah.
you just recently launched your artist career. And your most streamed song on Spotify right now is "Rockin' All Night Long."
Yeah.
I think it's over 2 million streams. Or
Yeah, we're knocking on the door. 3 last somebody told me, but
Cool.
I don't know, something like that.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
I try not to pay too close attention because that'll drive you crazy.
For sure. But it's such a sweet song. So can you tell our listeners the story behind that song and how it came to be with your co-writers too?
Yeah, so I wrote that song. I had just become a dad. My daughter was like 2 months old, I think, when I kind of got the idea. But when you have an infant, like there's only so many songs that you can sing. Eventually, you just kind of run out, and then you find yourself rocking back and forth deliriously well into the night, wondering if you're ever going to sleep again. And,
the answer is no.
and I just said to myself, and we're rocking, and I guess we're gonna be rocking all night long. And I remember this moment in my head,
Wow.
when the light kind of comes on. It's like, well, that could be it. Rocking all night long. That sounds like an incredible beer and tailgates kind
Right.
of country song, right? And but the more I thought about it, the more I just thought about how it looks different from when you're a kid and you're kind of chasing the action to.
Sure.
It's like even as you grow up, for me, you still make those kind of late night memories. They just look different, and
I love that.
And that's really where the song came from.
That's awesome. That's such a cool story.
Thanks.
How old is your daughter now?
She's 3.5. However, we're about to plunge headlong back into that sleep when you die kind of situation. Our second daughter is due in July. So
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
So you're going to play that song on a repeat now.
Yeah. For
Are
sure.
you planning on telling her that song's, was inspired by her when she gets
yeah,
older?
of course. And I think that was the thing that made that song so special, and why I was so excited to lead with it. Just because it's a song that tells a story the way that I like to tell stories, paints those kind of pictures, but also, like very, very relatable to a lot of people, and it's just very me, and it was special for a lot of different reasons, and that specifically being, reason number one.
And who did you write that song with? So when you brought it to your co-writers, how did they react?
I threw the idea out a couple times, but to different people.
Yeah.
But we never really knew how to write it. And then Kelly Archer, who is just one of my favorite co-writers in Nashville, favorite people. I was writing with her and my friend Pete Good, who wrote another couple songs with me for my record. And and like I just took it in, and they helped me write kind of the story that I was like most excited about writing. And very proud of that song.
I love that. So here on Pitchless, as I've told everyone that we've talked to this weekend, we love to talk about songwriting.
Yeah.
So I know you spent a lot of time here in Nashville and time driving back and forth.
Yes.
Before you actually moved here. So, and before you branched out to your artist career. So what were those years like, and maybe what advice do you have for young aspiring writers who are doing the same thing or trying to do the same thing you did?
That's a good question. For one thing, I didn't have to dive headlong into Nashville in quite the way that some other people, like most people move to Nashville, they don't know anybody,
Right.
And they come and they work at Starbucks, they work at a restaurant, and they wait tables, and they try to write songs in between, in between that, like paper chase and hustle.
Sounds familiar.
and I didn't quite have to do that. I was lucky because I was making music on the side in Arkansas, and somebody just kind of found me, right? So Justin Moore saw me play on a local morning TV show.
Wow.
He called his people, and his producer Jeremy Stover was kind of the guy who just, hey man, come check this out. Let's try you out in some co-writing situations and see what happens.
Sure.
And I don't know. I think the best advice I can give somebody is like, you don't have it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Like, dip your toe in the pool, see if you can meet some people, see if you can get to know some people who could kind of come alongside you and help you develop.
For sure.
Because if you come and you just like jump into the ocean of Nashville,
it's a lot.
you could get lost.
Yeah.
But if you, I mean, ultimately, if you just work, and if you have a good attitude, and a marginal level of talent, you can can find a place to make something happen in Nashville. I believe that.
Definitely. And I mean, that story of him just happening to hear you on a local radio show, morning show, that's rare.
Yeah.
What would you say?
I would say it's rare, but there are also a lot of people in Nashville who look outside of Nashville.
Right.
And so if you're making music in your hometown, and you're putting it on Spotify, you're putting it on the different digital outlets, and like putting yourself out there, you'd be surprised at the kind of opportunities that you can make for yourself.
Yeah, and I think being in the digital era, that has kind of changed things.
For sure.
Over a while you have to be in Nashville to do this, and it's kind of changed, I guess.
I think you need to get to Nashville,
right?
Because Nashville is where the decisions are made. That's where the power players are. That's where the money is made. If you want to make a career, you got to eventually get here. But a lot of times the first step to Nashville is not coming to Nashville. The first step to Nashville is writing in your upstairs attic until something you do is like catches on with somebody.
For sure. Yeah. So one of my favorite cuts of yours is "How Not To" by Dan and Shay, which I'm sure you hear a lot.
Well, thank you.
By now. But what's one of your favorite cuts that you've had recorded by another artist?
Man, that's a good question. I wrote a song with the Eli Young band called "Days I Feel Alone" that never really got a lot of traction, but I love that song.
Yeah.
Another one I love is the duet that Justin Moore did with Miranda Lambert called "Old Habits."
Yeah, and that was a couple years ago now, and it kind of
that was the thing that sort of let me like move to Nashville.
Right.
Because while I was making trips back and forth, I wrote that song, and then Justin cut it, and then that was the sort of thing that like let the publishing deal happen that let me move to Nashville.
Right.
And so, so I'm grateful for that song, but also just Miranda's vocal on that song is just unbelievable.
She's killer.
Yeah.
Awesome. So now let's talk about your artist career. Okay. So you just recently launched it. I love your voice. I love your style. It's very fresh. So what are your main influences in the music you're making for yourself now?
I really can hear a little bit of all of my I can distinctly hear specific things that I've drawn from music that's moved me. First of all, it's like 90s country, like that was the first music that ever had any kind of impact on me. So it was like Garth and Alan and Reba, etc.
Yeah.
But the thing about it was those story kind of songs. It was those vivid pictures that were being painted, and that's how I try to write.
Definitely.
And when somebody asks like what makes my music country, like that's it. Like
it is storytelling.
It is the imagery of like small town America. It's the imagery of all of those kind of people in those kind of situations, and that's what makes my music country. And then but then there's also like a lot of soul influence. There's John Mayer kind of rhythmic guitar stuff in there.
Definitely, yeah.
There is there's kind of a rock intensity to some of it, and
for sure.
And I don't know, I feel like I can just look through and see those kind of things. Third Eye Blind is a big influence.
Yes.
I freaking love Third Eye Blind. Third Eye Blind. Incubus was a band I loved in high school. Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Awesome.
But at the end of the day, like country music was I mean, that's the kernel that all the other stuff, that all the snowball is
For sure.
built
and
around.
And I feel like storytelling is the heart of country music anyway.
For sure.
So the fact that you started out as a writer and morphed into, your artist career, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so what's next for you, and where can our listeners find your music?
You can find it anywhere you can get music.
Okay.
Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon. Oh, please, Lord. See, that's why you don't start naming people, because you're going to leave somebody out. Somebody's getting pissed off. Yeah, just anywhere you get music, really. You can find me on social media. I'm on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Those are my 3 primaries. I don't mess with any of the other ones because I don't like having my head buried in my phone.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Don't blame you. So where do you see your career going next? Do you have any new music on the horizon?
We do have new music on the horizon.
Awesome.
We've recorded a full record.
Yay.
And so now at this point, it's just kind of figuring out how do we slowly put the music out in a way that like makes sense for how people listen to music in 2019,
Sure.
but also kind of honors like the full record that I want to put out. So we're trying to figure that out.
Definitely. Well, I can't wait to hear it when it comes out.
Thanks a lot.
But thank you so much for being on Pitch List, and have a great performance later.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Thanks for watching, guys. For more exclusive content from this year's CMA Fest, go follow us on social media or go to pitchlistpodcast.com. See you next year. Bye.